Sometimes the most difficult stories in movies are family stories. Today we have collected films that show the relationship between mother and son from different angles, from touching care to dramatic conflicts. Subscribe to the channel and like it. It helps new collections to be released more often. And here we go. Home, 2016. The film tells about a mother who lives with her adult son in an almost isolated world, where their habitual way of life becomes the only reality. Their lives flow calmly and monotonously until changes in the outside world begin to destroy this fragile stability. The son is gradually striving for independence, and the mother is afraid to be left alone. This is a story about how difficult it is to let go of loved ones, even when you realize that it is inevitable. Murmur of the Heart, 1971. Set in 1950s France, the film follows the teenage Laurent, who grows up in a wealthy but rather chaotic family. His mother is a vibrant and emotional woman with whom he develops a trusting relationship. After an illness, Laurent and his mother go to a spa to recuperate. In an atmosphere of isolation and mutual openness, an awkward and ambiguous moment of intimacy arises between them, which becomes a turning point in Laurent's life. The film focuses more on growing up, familial freedom, and psychological awkwardness than on the situation itself. The Mother, 2003. After the death of her husband, an elderly woman named May moves into her adult children's home in London. She feels left out and lonely until she meets a young man who works in her daughter's home. Gradually, a romantic connection develops between them, which causes tension in the family. Her relationship with her own son becomes cold and conflicted because he cannot accept the changes in his mother's life. The film explores loneliness, late-life emotions, and how children sometimes stop seeing their parents as independent individuals. The Tragedy of the Street of Flowers, 2012. The plot takes the viewer to a small community where a mother and son live in constant social difficulties. Their connection becomes the only support in a world full of uncertainty. But his son's growing up changes their relationship, forcing both to rethink their lives. Grand Jeté, 2022. The story of a dancer who, many years later, returns to her son, with whom she hardly spoke. They are trying to get to know each other anew, overcoming the distance created by time and personal traumas. The film explores the theme of guilt, forgiveness, and the possibility of starting a relationship anew. Ma Mère, 2004. The story begins after the death of teenager Pierre's father. He is left to live with his mother, with whom he had previously had little contact. Gradually, he comes to know her from a completely different side, as a person who lives freely, ignoring social rules and moral constraints. The mother begins to draw her son into her world of late-night parties, risky encounters, and emotional experimentation. For Pierre, this comes as both a shock and a painful coming-of-age experience. The film shows how the loss of a loved one and the lack of boundaries can destroy family roles and lead to tragic consequences. Savage Grace, 2007. The story of a wealthy family where a mother strives to maintain control over her son's life. Their relationship becomes increasingly strained as he grows up. The film shows how isolation and pressure can lead to tragic consequences. Luna, 1979. An opera singer is trying to rebuild a relationship with her teenage son, who is going through a difficult period in his life. Traveling together, they face the challenges of the past and try to rebuild trust. This is an emotional story about a mother's love, mistakes, and hope for reconciliation. Mommy, 2014. The film follows widow Diana, who takes her teenage son Steve home from a boarding school for troubled children. He has a difficult personality and outbursts of aggression, but they share a strong emotional bond. Their lives change when a quiet teacher moves in, helping Steve cope with his studies and behavior. For a while, it seems the family has finally found balance, but past problems resurface. This is a deeply emotional story about unconditional love, hope, and the challenges of growing up. Womb, 2010. After the tragic loss of a loved one, a woman makes an unusual decision to raise a child who becomes the center of her life. Over time, her maternal affection begins to influence her son's fate, creating an emotionally complex relationship between them. The film raises questions of love, loneliness, and the limits of parental care. This is a selection of films about the difficult relationship between mothers and sons. Which of these films have you already watched, and which ones are you just planning? Write in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. There are even more interesting movie selections ahead. See you in the next video.